What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Around the Paddock. I'm Seb, he's Nico, and we've got your paddock pass to all things F1 from this past week. Now, I don't know about you, Nico. I'm feeling pretty energized for this episode. I know you were taking a nap a little earlier, so how you doing?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad. How are you? The nap was really nice, though. It's definitely needed. Yeah.
You need that recharge. Well, we actually got a lot to cover this week. A lot was unveiled and shown in the world of F1. So I'm just gonna hop right to the formation lap, man. The first thing that I want to kind of get your opinion about and talk to you was Otmar Szafnauer, the old Aston Martin team principal, was announced as the Alpine team principal going forward. It's a little funny for me just because BWT went from Racing Point and Aston Martin and they moved to Alpine, and now Otmar is following along. So I have a feeling he's just a really big fan of BWT, or he might be a BWT sleeper agent or something like that.
I think he just might be the secret CEO of BWT.
Yeah. He likes the pink. He also was disappointed with the lack of pink in the Aston Martin.
Yeah.
And then when he voiced his displeasure to Papa Stroll, to the curb.
Yeah, got the axe.
And he also said, in his press conference, once he was announced as team principal, he mentioned that he wanted to compete for a championship within the next 100 races with Alpine. So that's still a couple years time. Like we're only having 23 races this year, and it's I think the busiest calendar.
That's quite a big a big range. That's what 5 years, eh?
Yeah, I would say 5-6 years.
Yeah.
You think that's something that's achievable? Well, okay, I think 5-6 years is definitely achievable. There could be another regulation change in between that
I also want to announce I too within 5 years wish to be challenging for a championship in F1.
Oh man, well good luck. I got your back.
F1 2020.
F1 2020?
Yeah.
What, like the video game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you meant like for real. I was ready to travel the world to support you and cover all the important stuff.
I'm gonna do it in VR. You can join me in VR. We can go around the world. Imola, Monza.
Right. You're gonna do the meta racing team.
Yeah. Well, now that Chase Bank has a virtual bank in the metaverse, I can make all my money in F1 2020, then without having to leave the metaverse, go to the bank, take out a nice deposit. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe in 5 years you'll be able to buy a house in the metaverse.
I don't know what metaverse you're living in, but I thought it was JP Morgan Chase.
But what did I say?
You said Chase Bank.
JP Morgan, yeah, JP Morgan Chase. That's in Chase Bank.
Oh, well, yeah, true. Duh. Sorry. Well, okay. It's my turn to kind of hit at you for not saying the full thing. But anyways, we're kind of going off track here. I wanted to ask you sort of, because yesterday when I told you about Otmar, you kind of made a face. You winced. I get the feeling you're not the biggest fan of Otmar, but I just don't know why.
The only thing I know about Otmar comes from Drive to Survive, and they did not particularly put him in a good light. So I'm sure he's a very, very good, competent team principal. People probably like him. I'm sure that's all true. But considering his public perception comes in large part from Drive to Survive, man, I just hope he does well. But not the biggest fan.
Drive to Survive is essentially an F1 telenovela, so we just got to keep that in mind.
It's very much like the Keeping Up with the Kardashians for F1 fans.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. You don't want to get your opinions on these guys from that. But let's move on, because we do have to. We need to cover there's some key changes made both to the race administrations and just updates for sprint rules. So just tell us, Nico. Tell us the key changes to F1 race administrations that they announced for this year.
So few things did change in the F1 administration. The first, and I think the most notable one, is the fact that race director Michael Massey is no longer in charge, and he has been replaced with two people, which is actually, I think it's a good call, because having two people to be able to bounce decisions off might actually bring a bit more stability, with two people named Niels Welchens.
I think it's Niels Wittich. That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, it's a British name. And then Eduardo.
Freitas,
Nah,
Eduardo Freitas.
it is
You got to
Eduardo
say their name. They're
Freitas.
both experienced FIA officials. They've been
Yeah,
around for a
yeah,
while,
yeah.
right?
It's Eduardo Freitas, and then someone who's biased for another British driver, Niels.
Mhm.
Um, then they're also going to be introducing a new virtual race control room, similar to football's VAR.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I do think actually F1 already had something similar to the VAR, but I think this is particularly just for the race directors. So hopefully they'll be able to have a more comprehensive, better view of the races to be able to make decisions. I actually think this is a very clever idea, and if it's anything like the football's VAR, it's gonna be incredibly useful.
Well, we know there's a lot of cameras and microphones and stuff that come in an F1 race weekend. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities to capture the data that we might not see on TV or in
Yeah,
the F1 app. But yeah, I agree that the virtual control room
gonna
should
be
help at
yeah,
least. Should
it's gonna
help.
be game changing definitely in terms of rules and decisions because I'm not sure exactly how it worked before for the race directors, but if they have a more centralized, all encompassing god eye effectively of the race, it's gonna be able to make them. It's gonna allow them to make more consistent, better decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to also see that with the new race administrations, they're also going to be reassessing the procedures revolving around unlapping during safety car periods, which is actually really nice considering the Abu Dhabi race.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that for sure. That's why all these changes to the race administration is happening. I have no doubts. I
Yeah,
kind of just wanted to add a little point that the Herbie Blash was also appointed as permanent senior advisor alongside the two race directors, so Wittich and Freitas.
yeah.
He's also been in the FIA and in the world of F1 for a while, so it just kind of adds that extra support, and hopefully there's some consistency, right? Because I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
going to be the biggest thing. Just as long as they're able to be consistent with the way that the rules are administered,
yeah,
then
and I think having Herbie Bash as a permanent senior advisor is going to consistently give um, good it's not necessarily going to give good outcomes, but it's going to give consistent outcomes to the rules and decisions.
that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
I definitely have to see. I don't know how I feel exactly about two race directors rotating the role for the next season. Just because, again, if we want to see that kind of consistency, it's better to have one person. But then again, when Michael Massey was the race director, there wasn't a lot of consistency. That's one of the big criticisms
yeah.
that he had towards him. So
No, yeah. And speaking
this is,
of Michael Massey, I do wonder where he's gonna be ended up because he was offered an FIA role, eh?
yeah, I don't know, maybe the umbrella holder for Herbie Blash or something like that.
My
Um,
umbrella holder.
yeah, no, they haven't announced it, so they're definitely kind of keeping it under wraps, and I'm sure that he's still going to be involved in the race administration in some capacity.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
just not as race director, but he could be, maybe working at the virtual race control room, for example. We don't know. I mean, at least
yeah,
from everything I've searched and the research I've done, I haven't seen them specify what role Michael Massey has, but
yeah. No, I'm sure it's gonna be a for all the joking that's gone towards him. He definitely doesn't deserve to be kicked out of the FIA, and I'm sure they probably put him in a position that he can utilize his experience to adequately aid in decision making.
agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, so want to move on to the next topic that we have here, and it's the rule updates for the 2022 sprint races. Well, okay, updates in quotation marks because it's
Hmm.
not really that drastic of a change. They just sort of announced that this is how they were going to run it this year.
Well, I'd say
So
the point changes actually is a giant change.
yeah, okay, I was going to touch into that because now they're offering points for the top 8 finishers
Yeah.
instead of what was it, the top 3 last time
No, it's top 10.
last year. Last year?
Yeah. It was
Oh,
25 points to first.
no, but not for the sprint race.
Oh, this is for the sprint race.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the sprint race
Ah,
specifically, right? So
true. My bad.
when you do the sprint races for qualifying, the
Yeah, it was
top
top
8
3,
will earn points. So 8 points for first place, 7 points for second, all the way
etc.,
down
etc.
to
Yeah.
1 point for eighth place. And the 3 races are going to be Imola, Austria, and Brazil.
No.
And I'm a little bit sad because I did hear some rumors here and there that Canada might have been one of the places where they do the sprint race, and I was sort of looking forward to seeing it, but I'm not jealous. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm
I won't
surprised.
hold it against them.
I'm surprised Monaco isn't on this list. But
No,
since
Monaco wouldn't be a good sprint
no,
race. I mean, you can't really overtake in Monaco. It's so
that's a fair
tight,
point. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I was thinking. Yeah, no, that's on me. Although
Yeah,
similar
maybe
to
you
that.
need another coffee after that nap.
Yeah, no, similar to that though. Monza, I'm surprised it's not on there either.
Well, they had it last year.
Yeah,
So I'm sure they want to sort of change it around from time to time so it doesn't stagnate too much. Now, the fact that there's only 3 in a 23 race calendar, it's like, okay, well, if you think it's going to be that successful, I'm surprised you're not confident in adding it to a few more places. But
yeah,
maybe they're just testing the new updates and whatnot.
maybe. I would like to see though, for them to like categorize like race types, right? So like for example, like Monaco, it's bad because it's so tight, whereas something like Monza or Austria, which is like, or even Silverstone, which is like so competitive and there's so much overtaking. I think those are actually some of the most some of the tightest racing tracks, if I'm not wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
the uneven racing was just due a lot, in part, a lot to the old cars and the old regulations and
Yeah.
stuff.
No,
Which,
what I mean is it's not the unfair racing, it's the ability to overtake, right? The tracks where it's easiest to overtake, I would have categorized those for sprint races, right?
yeah, and again, like the 3 that they have for this year, Imola, Austria, Brazil, they're known for overtaking and being a little bit more open and competitive. But actually, this is kind of a good segue onto the main race topic because we got more livery and car reveals from each team, and again,
Ooh,
the way that these new cars, the reason why these new cars are here and these new regulations is just to promote closer racing.
Yeah.
Be a little bit shorten the gap between the field. So I mean, all this that we're talking about from our experience with previous races and previous Grand Prix, it could be completely different, right? We could see something like Monaco. We could see more overtakes if the cars allow for that sort of closer racing. Now they're still huge. I think Monaco's a bad example because the cars are way too big for.
I think Monaco's a poor example because I think the cars are even bigger than last year. Monaco is so tight.
I'm just saying though, like Baku, for example, there could be more opportunity to pass on some of those straights and stuff, right? But anyway, so we're just gonna hop right into the cars that they revealed this week, and we're gonna start with the very first one, the one that was released first, which was the AlphaTauri AT03. So the livery, I mean, they decided to keep the same color scheme, right? The dark blue and the white. They sort of blended it really well. They have some black in the underfloor and a couple of black streaks around, but they obviously still kept it very true to what their livery looked like last season. What do you think about it?
Honestly, it seems a little it just might be me, but the bluish, that like grayish blue they chose, it's like the very matte blue, right? It seems a bit too matte for me. It looks kind of like bland, and I think if they would have had a glossier paint finish over, I think it would have looked a bit nicer. But it's overall it's a very average looking. It's like the default kind of look for me for this year. It doesn't really like come out of anything special.
Pop or anything, eh? It doesn't grab you by the creative.
No, not at all.
You know, whatever you want to call it.
It does look a bit different though to the Red Bull one, eh?
It does actually, and though at the same time, what we can sort of take away from the fact that because they actually unveiled the car, right?
Yeah.
So we know that the AlphaTauri is going to use the same gearbox, rear suspension, hydraulics, and power unit as what the Red Bull car is going to use as well.
Yeah.
So if we're sort of looking at the back end of the vehicle,
I'm sure it's very similar.
It's going to be very similar. Now the front end might be a little bit different. I know one of the things that people were kind of pointing out when they saw it, especially in the front wing, the main pane of the front wing is attached directly to the nose of the vehicle, which is different at that point when it was released. It really differed from McLaren, Aston Martin, and Haas, who decided to take on another build philosophy, and that main paint does not connect to the nose, so it kind of allows more airflow to the underfloor.
Yeah.
But so again, it's just cool to see the different styles, different approaches to the same problem, right?
Yeah.
And I know based on the side pod shape, it does aim to maximize airflow to the rear of the car.
Yeah.
Maybe more so than to the underfloor.
Yeah, I've heard a few. There's been two really big what's it called, philosophies of design that's come out so far, which is, I think it's Aston Martin, who's been the biggest contributor towards ground effect by having more air to the underpart of the car. Where, if I'm not wrong, it's, I can't remember what car design was the one that most focused to downforce in the back of the wing. Do you know which one it was?
Oh, off the top of my head, it could be the McLaren, to be honest.
It might be the McLaren I might be thinking of, yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure on that, though. Yeah, I do know that the McLaren does have a bit of a focus on airflow to the underfloor, which I know the Aston Martin does as well, right? That's why when this car was released, it sort of differed a little bit from the other ones, which was just interesting, you know?
Yeah, we'll see which design philosophy is a bit better. Personally, I think probably ground effect is more important than downforce on the back wing, but considering the new regulations, but it will be interesting to see how it takes corners.
Yeah, only time will tell, and I'm hoping for the best for AlphaTauri. I'm the livery looks pretty cool. I always thought that they keep a clean look with their team colors and the Red Bull affiliations. I love Pierre Gasly. I'm a big fan of Pierre Gasly, so I'm really hoping he's able to maintain that form that he had last year, and I'm hoping that Yuki's also able to step up a little bit more. He was definitely stronger in the second half of last season. So
he was really impressive at the end of the last season.
And he's jokes too. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he is.
I love Yuki. So. Yeah, so I got my hopes for the AlphaTauri, and hopefully they're able to make another step forward in their development. But now, tell us about the Williams, Nico, the FW44.
In my opinion, probably. Ooh, I don't want to be blasphemous. So I think it's far, a bit ugly. Really, I was gonna say it's the nicest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You think the Williams is the nicest?
I think. So far that we have talked about, yes, I think it has the nicest color set. It's definitely a bit interesting. It has that kind of more of a generic 2022 car look to it. It doesn't have like the distinguishing factors that, say, the Aston Martin had,
Aston Martin, or even the Ferrari,
right?
Which we'll look into.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything yet about the Ferrari, right? It doesn't have like any of these distinguishing features. But like I think color wise, it's definitely the nicest, and I think even like the way they design out the livery, it really works with the form of the car a bit nicer, in my opinion.
Fair. That's interesting that you say that, because I kind of speaking about the livery, I disagree. I think it's a lot of blue. I don't really know how I feel about it. I think there's too many pointed edges, there's too many triangles and diamonds and lots of blue, little streaks of red. I think I need a little bit of time to get used to it, because especially compared to previous Williams vehicles, it differs, and I don't know if I'm exactly on board with the way it looks. But I do know, well, from what I was looking, so they're actually running the highest available wing angle in their test. Now, I'm not sure if this is the plan for 100% of the time and going into the season, because when they did their testing in Silverstone, it was raining. So that high wing angle might have just been for the test purposes only, but kind of interesting to see if they are going to choose to do that. And just sort of looking at the car, their side pods in the front, they're huge. Like those inlets are huge.
Yeah.
So I know they're definitely focusing again on airflow to the rear of the car. They're actually doing a little bit of both, because I know the front wing has the
elevation.
The bottom pane isn't yes, but it's also not attached, unlike the AlphaTauri. So that main bottom pane sort of runs by itself, and then the rest of the paints are connected to the nose. So that does kind of help bring more air to the underfloor. But again, it does also seem like they're kind of focusing on airflow to the back, which we'll have to see which one is the better philosophy of the two.
Yeah, it is also a bit interesting that they are running the highest available wing angle. I wonder what advantages that would give them.
Yeah, I mean, hell, if I was an AWS cloud server, I'd be able to tell you, but now, Nico,
the nicest
you're gonna
car.
Take it away. The Ferrari,
the nicest
F1
car,
75.
100%.
I agree that it's the nicest car.
Yeah, it's the nicest looking. It looks the cleanest. I don't know what it is about this Ferrari. No, I do know it's the red. It's always the red.
It's red and the black.
Yes, there is black.
Last episode.
You did call it.
There's going to be black.
This is the nicest looking F1 car. Like Ferrari always has the nicest looking F1 car. No, it's just it's a beauty of a vehicle, man.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the Aston Martin was going to sort of take that prize as the nicest looking one, but this Ferrari is a beauty.
Yeah, the front
nose
wing
is super skinny.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks like a needle almost.
It does. The other ones look like arrows. This is like a needle.
And I think that might be in part due to the black coloring over the vibrant red, so it makes the red look a bit smaller. Just the way they designed it. But yeah, it definitely has like this weird like needle point effect. No,
it's a beauty to look at. We've got the picture pulled up right here, and it's a nice sight. But I know the biggest thing that people were talking about were the side pods, right? They sort of kind of took the same concept that Aston Martin did, and then just added these valleys in the side pods. It just looks weird.
Yeah, the fish gills.
Yeah, but it's even more intense in its shape and its curve.
Yeah, it seems to that. I'm not entirely sure the benefit for that is. It seems that they want to be able to maneuver the air from the side pods from like the bottom of the car, bring it up, and then also have a bit of a ground effect while also throwing it to the back of the wing. I'm probably wrong on this, but it seems like that's the goal of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, we're definitely not aerodynamic experts here. But just based on what it looks like, it does. So like, you know how we said Williams tried to make the best of both and get airflow in the underfloor and in the rear wing? I feel like the Ferrari car has the best sort of shape for that.
Yeah.
The gills, I feel, will be really good at sort of putting that downforce, driving the car down.
I also wonder if it's going to make the car a bit slipperier, because I know that what's called air when it's moving across a surface, right? It tends to slow down a good bit. No, wait, bleeding edge air. Yeah, ignore me on that, actually.
Oh, your big brain moment sort of just fizzled out.
Yeah, I don't remember if it moves faster or slower, so I was wondering whether or not having those fish gills, by having a bit of heated air, because I'm assuming the air is probably going to be a bit hotter, because it's going near the engine unit, it's going to it's going to make the car a bit slipperier.
Right, yeah. Well, and they could also serve to cool the engine so that it can. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, and I didn't take that in.
Yeah.
And I know, since we're speaking about the engine, Mattia Binotto, the Ferrari team principal, he's got the master plan. Shouts out Mattia. He's super confident in the car. So are the drivers. They're confident in the engine. They're describing it as being different than before, but they're not going too deep into it. So do you think that different this year is going to be more towards the good or more towards the bad?
If it's different compared to last year, it can only mean good. Let's be honest.
Well, last year they were on the come up. They were the third strongest team, right? Like
they were the third strongest team. But after being after their scandal with their engine, it hadn't been the same, because before the scandal they effectively had, I think, the best engine, because their cars were outperforming even the Mercedes.
Yeah, they were rockets on wheels.
Yeah, and so if it's different to post-scandal, the post-scandal engine, then I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic engine.
It could be just as good as what it was then, but
not cheating.
Yeah, yeah. To put it lightly, I was gonna put it a little bit nicer within the regulations and rules, but
Yeah, yeah.
but you're not wrong necessarily.
No, I also wonder. AWS seems to be a title sponsor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, Amazon Web Services are the ones that provide F1 with all the data and all the telemetry and stuff. So
yeah. I'm just
that's
wondering
why
how it's gonna what's it called how AWS is gonna play a role, considering Oracle is gonna be playing a role with Red Bull, seeing if they're gonna be able to do any similar services to what Oracle is providing Red Bull with AWS to Ferrari.
I think so. I think so because you need that cloud storage for all the data, right? I think I
Yeah,
read somewhere that now don't quote me correctly on this because I don't have it pulled up and this is
yeah,
just kind of off my memory, but I think it was like on a race weekend with all the telemetry that's picked up from the cars. It's
yeah.
terabytes per second worth of data,
Damn.
like literal terabytes per second of car telemetry data. So yeah, you need these companies with big cloud infrastructure to
Oh
host
yeah.
that those data points and the teams can use them. So
No,
no,
yeah.
it'll be exciting. And I know Ferrari they train at Maranello, so they're not at Silverstone like a lot of the other teams. From what I've been able to tell,
Yeah.
and it's been a little bit mysterious. I don't know how they performed. I don't know what's in store, but I definitely know I'm most excited to see the Ferraris
I'm definitely excited for the
on the
Ferraris.
grid.
Yeah.
So maybe I really am a watermelon.
You
I'm
are
an
a
Aston Martin
watermelon.
fan on the outside, but in my heart, I bleed Ferrari red.
Everyone's a watermelon. Painted watermelons, perhaps, but everyone's red on the inside.
So moving from Ferrari, which again we both are in agreement, it's the nicest car,
Absolutely.
to the latest livery and car reveal, and maybe not the nicest looking cars, which we might both be able to agree on because I know your
Yeah.
feeling on this, but the Mercedes F1 W13.
It's boring.
Give it away.
It's as
Tell us.
it's as boring as their reveal is boring. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I do like the return back to silver. I'm gonna be a little bit honest now. Looking at it, it does look nice. Looks better than the black.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and I do like the Petronas like cyan, the light cyan.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like the only interesting part that really comes out to me is the front wing. That front wing is reminds me of the Haas wing, except just stretched a little bit to the extremes.
Yeah, so if I mean I'll try my best to describe it to the audience, but it starts at the front nose and it kind of curls upward. It has a big curve upward. So from the sides it should sort of push the air down towards the center of the nose, and then that air would get pushed into the underfloor
Yeah,
if my understanding of air physics is correct. But it definitely does look like the most unique of the front wings.
yeah. Although I will give Mercedes might have a slight advantage because I know George Russell recently stated that the simulation that they were running for the cars and the actual car that he ran, the actual 2022 car, were shockingly similar. I, don't quote me that he said shockingly similar, but he did in so many words basically say that.
Really?
Yeah, so maybe perhaps if other teams didn't quite get their simulations quite right, the Mercedes might have an advantage purely based on the fact that if the simulation was so similar to the final production car, that they're going to have a bit more experience with the fuel handle.
Interesting. I know they have one of the most advanced simulators. Maybe even still until I think Aston Martin gets theirs set up, and then
Yeah,
I know they're going to have a state of the art wind tunnel to test aerodynamics, but I think they're also going to have the most advanced simulator.
yeah, which is going to be a massive aid.
I just sort of looking at the front of like a picture at the front end of the vehicle, I noticed that it's very skinny compared to some of the other ones. So for example, the inlets on the side pods, when you're looking at it from the front
Yeah,
to take in the air, they're tiny, especially when I look at this one and Williams side by side.
yeah,
The side pod inlets are tiny. So again, just goes back to the whole different philosophies of trying to solve the problems presented by the new regulations. But it seems like they're leaving a lot more room for the air inflow to come in from the front wing. And again, I could just be talking on my booty here. I might be completely wrong, but
no, yeah, it's definitely I do quite like well, okay, it's boring. It's boring. Like it's definitely not.
You're just an optimist. You're just trying to find the good in it, you know?
Yeah.
You got a big heart, Nico.
Yeah. I do wonder how it's going to perform though, considering I think if I'm not wrong, it's last year they put almost no wheel development onto their 2021 car, so they could.
No, they did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Mercedes and Red Bull were basically competing till the end, right? So they were still developing their 2021 car, which actually hampered their ability
2022.
To. Yeah, exactly.
Right, and then Ferrari did the opposite. Ferrari put a lot more focus onto the 2022 car.
And Haas did the complete opposite of Mercedes and Red Bull. They were working on their 2022 car since like 2019 or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. All right. No. Yeah. And I was off on that. Yeah. It definitely doesn't look at I do wonder how it's going to perform, but it definitely has very much the same symptoms of what's it called, the AlphaTauri, right? Which is kind of like it's what I imagined the new rugs were going to look like, but doesn't really like present itself anything like at all interesting.
Oh yeah. No, that's and I do just kind of want to add a little point to the whole discussion about the Mercedes and their performance and stuff.
Yeah,
I know that they've had a lack of aerodynamic testing opportunities, especially compared to the other teams. Yeah, and that's just been because the opportunities that they're allowed by the FIA in Formula One to test their aerodynamics is based on a reverse grid formation on constructor points. So obviously Haas came last. They've had the most time to test. Yeah. And Merc was number one, so they've had the least amount of time. So it's just going to be interesting to see if that body shape, if that build philosophy is going to be effective and do what they need to, especially if they haven't had as much time to really hone in those details.
Yeah. Actually, on the point of wind tunnels, how will it work with Aston Martin with their state-of-the-art wind tunnel if teams are only allotted a set amount of time?
So I think that was for the new cars and the new regulations. And again, do not quote me on this. You're just kind of putting me on the spot here. I'm trying to remember if I remember correctly. But, and obviously anybody can comment and let us know if we're wrong. And we'd obviously love to get it right if we are wrong.
Leave a comment with your cap and CapEx.
Yes. Yeah. Leave a comment with your cat picks and explain to us why we're wrong about aerodynamics. But I think it was just for the creation of these new cars, right? So maybe going forward, these restrictions might not be as heavy just because you're developing the car that's already built.
Right. But they wanted to give an advantage to the smaller teams for the new regulations to make the racing closer. So they limited their time in the wind tunnels. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Or at least the teams that were further back in the grid, right? The ones that were less competitive, just give them a bit more of an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I think the last remaining teams that we haven't seen the car for are Alpine and Red Bull. Well, we've kind of seen Red Bull, but they haven't actually revealed the car. They've done a render, like a concept reveal.
Similar to Haas, I believe, yeah? Haas was also renders? No.
Yes. No, yes, you're right. So I know there's been pictures taken of the Red Bull testing, but they haven't actually done the formal presentation. Neither has Haas. And then Alpine has just been completely silent. So that's something that they're going to do this weekend or early next week, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the last one. And then it's testing, man. And then we get going. Lights out and away we go, baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exciting stuff. I mean, it'll be cool to see. Ferrari's beautiful. Aston Martin is beautiful. I'm excited, man. But let's go to the cool down lap now. And the topic that I picked for the cool down lap here, I think is going to relate a lot to you because our boy Nico here, our co-host Nico, by this time tomorrow, I think, or maybe
by like
12 a.m. tomorrow. This guy's going to be in Colombia, so I'm jealous. He's going to be somewhere warm. We'll be in Bogota and Medellin. So I want you to have a safe flight. But also, the reason why I'm bringing all this up and sort of doxing you as flying to Colombia is because this didn't really happen last week, but there were talks from the Colombian president, Juan Manuel Santos, that a Colombian Grand Prix was in the works for the future in Barranquilla. So Barranquilla is a city in Colombia. It's one of the bigger cities. And
you've been there, right?
I have not. I have not been to Barranquilla, but it's in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I've been to Santa Marta, which is in the Caribbean, but not Barranquilla.
Right. Yeah.
Also, did I say Santos? Because let me correct myself there. Santos was the previous one. It's Ivan Duque now is the president of.
You don't want to start a political conflict with this podcast.
I'm in the past.
Clearly. Yeah.
So, but what do you think about the possibility of an F1 Grand Prix coming to Colombia, or is that even a possibility?
I think it would be interesting. I do always think that even though I know they're basically at their limit, more races is not a bad thing. Even if, as a spectator, I do want more races.
It could always be on a rotating basis, though, right?
It could be on a rotating basis. And I don't think it'd be a bad location, considering I think South America is probably the continent with the least amount. No, that's actually Africa. But second least amount of races that are held.
It shouts out Africa. Let's get some African Grand Prix going, too.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a Lagos GP, personally.
Nairobi would be cool, I think.
Yeah. I could go on. There's a lot of places in Africa that would be interesting to hold an F1 race. But I think Colombia would definitely be an interesting choice. Knowing from your experience to where was it, Santa Marta, the roads would definitely need a bit of an improvement.
Yeah, the roads are doo-doo.
Yes. But Colombia also is one of the countries in South America that has one of the biggest infrastructure projects. So if they really wanted to, they could develop a track.
They just have to compete with countries like France, Austria, Brazil, Netherlands, Germany.
Germany doesn't have a GP though this year, does it?
Oh man, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I don't think they're competing with Germany.
No, but I mean, a lot of the times, we've had one-offs, right?
Yeah,
where we have a one-off Grand Prix. I think I want to say India might have been a one-off, but at the end of the day, that's not really how Formula One is trying to operate. They obviously cash is king, right, baby?
Yeah.
So if they do a deal with Colombia, it would be a multi-year deal, even if it's on a rotating basis. Which again, I don't think that would happen because they don't seem to be doing that.
Yeah.
So they'd still have to compete with those other countries, right?
Yeah. That might actually have them. Yeah, I don't ever see, at least not in the near term future, I don't see Colombia getting a GP. I think in terms money-wise and in terms of commitment and investment, it's probably not in the books.
So if it is, just to sort of
sure,
tickle that scenario a little bit more.
Yeah.
Would it be a closed circuit or a street circuit?
You know what? I would love to see a street circuit in Medellin.
Yeah. Or well, I mean, just even in Barranquilla.
No, but I think the mountains in Medellin. That would be one of the most visually intense GPs, I think, probably.
Well, you could have it in Bogota, 2,600 feet above sea level.
Yeah, but Medellin is surrounded by the mountains.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country. I'm jealous that you're going to be there.
Yeah.
I wish I could join. So,
Yeah.
And we're actually going to be filming the next episode with you there. So it'll be the first international episode of Around the Paddock.
It will be, yeah.
So you definitely have to keep an ear out for that. But I just wanted, real quick before we go to the shunt of the week and wrap up for this week. But, you mentioned the African Grand Prix, that there were a lot of ones that you'd like to see. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
What other places would you personally, just me to you, to Nico,
like
would
to
want to see? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with countries first, and
No,
then
yeah.
maybe I'll hit some specific cities.
Just go with the countries. Just
So I do want to see Lagos, Nigeria. I would love to see an African GP in Lagos, Nigeria. Um, Ethiopia would also be quite interesting. Hitting the capital of the African Union, I believe.
Addis Ababa.
Addis Ababa.
I don't know if they're in the if a Grand Prix is really in the minds of the
No,
people in Ethiopia right now, but
I don't think so.
I also do agree that it would be cool.
It would be really cool. To hit a bit more in the Southern African region, probably. Okay, this is a bit closer to like mid Africa, but maybe Rwanda would be interesting. And then somewhere probably in South Africa, Johannesburg would be interesting.
Yeah, well, they've done a South African Grand Prix before. I think it didn't go well, but no, agreed.
Yeah.
I think Nairobi would be cool. Like the desert backdrop just seems like it would be. I mean, we already race in Bahrain, right?
And Saudi Arabia.
Exactly. So
yeah,
another sort of close to the desert Grand Prix in Kenya. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, and then jumping out of Africa into somewhere else. I think even though the track was panned, I would still be interested in a Vietnam race, in a Vietnam GP. Even though the track everyone says isn't great. Japan GP would also be a bit interesting. I don't know if they're doing it. Where else? New Zealand GP would be interesting.
Well, they're doing the one in Japan this year.
They are.
I mean, they canceled it last year because of COVID measure, right? But
so they are doing a Japan GP.
Yeah, Suzuka.
Oh no, that's fair. New Zealand would be interesting, and honestly, let's go back to Cuba.
I would be down for a Middle Earth GP in New Zealand. And I mean, to everybody that's listening, if you have your own country or place where you'd like to see a Grand Prix, definitely let us know. Either comment down or send us an email, aroundthepaddockpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You could hit us up on Instagram at Around the Paddock Podcast, or Twitter, which is ATP_pod. Just let us know where you'd want to see a Grand Prix race, even if it's, completely out of the realm of possibilities. If you think it's cool, we want to know. And we'll also think it's cool.
Also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, because we will be doing a bit more community outreach over there.
Yes, our social media game right now is admittedly very weak, but in the process of doing those reps and getting jacked. So definitely follow us. Keep an eye out on more stuff that we're going to be posting there. We definitely want to reach out to everybody that's listening and engage with you guys, because we want this to be a conversation, right? Like the idea of this podcast is Nico and I just conversing about Formula One, what happened this week, but we want to extend that to everybody else who's willing to join the conversation. So by all means. But with that being said, shunt of the week. Want to take it away?
Yeah.
What was the biggest screw up this week that we saw?
100%. The what's it called? The boring as hell launch of Mercedes.
Yep.
100%. There was not saying this was a big shunt. By no means was it a big shunt, but it was a particularly quite bad launch.
Well, I think this is a bigger shunt than the ones we had for last week. So
yes, last week this is definitely bigger than last week, but I don't think it's a big shunt in terms of shunt's possibilities, its potential.
Oh no.
But it wasn't great. It
was, no. Take it away.
Yeah. No. They definitely should have taken the books out of like McLaren or something that actually had that cool reveal with the Lego cars, and then just kind of had the reveal, or even Red Bulls, which was relatively faster, even though that one was also a bit boring in my opinion.
AlphaTauri did a fashion show.
Did they?
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. No, yeah. Or even what's it called? Ferrari, I think. I didn't catch it, but that one also had quite a good launch.
Yeah. No, I mean the Mercedes, they had speakers that just seemed to speak for too long.
Yeah.
Lots of different segments and a lot of anticipation and waiting to unveil the car, right?
Yeah.
And kind of like we spoke. I mean, the Silver Arrow look is nice, but it's not really anything that's gonna pop out.
No.
Not like the Ferrari or
No,
McLaren or Aston Martin, right? So it's not really going to stick out. So to kind of wait that long and just go through all those segments, all that talking, just to see the car, you know, it's the shunt of the week. Preparation and organization, baby. That's what you need. All right.
Well, then,
with that being said, I think that's pretty much everything I had to cover with you for this week, Nico.
I think that's all the everything that really happened in the world of F1 this week. Yeah.
All right. Well, you got anything to tell the audience before we wrap up?
Yeah. Send us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter and send us what races you would like to see on for F1 for the following years. Also, let us know your opinion on having an F1 race in Colombia, whether you think it's possible or not. If you have if you're in the sphere of knowledge for that, and send us pics of your animals in F1 merch. You know, I'm expanding it out from cats this time.
Okay, now we're just all animals.
Just any animal. Wild bears. Yeah, if you want, not recommended, nor am I saying to do it, but if you manage to get a, AlphaTauri hat on a live bear in like the Yukon, you have managed to send it to us, then hats off to you.
We'll get you in for the next episode.
Yes, we would.
All right, man. Well, it's nice talking to you.
Yeah, you
to
too.
Everybody that's listening in, we just want to say thank you for taking part in this journey with us, for engaging, just for listening us ramble about F1 for almost an hour. Hope to see you next week. We'll be back. We'll be international, as this guy's going to be in Colombia, so it's going to be exciting. Keep an eye out for that. And yeah, thanks for joining in and taking the tour around the paddock. Peace out.
Bye.